Hello, hello. You are in for a treat today because I was able to chat with Monde Matumba. You may know her better as MondesThreads on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. She is a seamstress in Memphis, Tennessee, but I feel like she's like a celebrity seamstress on social media because she's known for taking these dresses that aren't even close to fitting and then perfectly tailoring them to her happy customers at the end of the day. And she does it with a great sense of humor and relatability that we love. So I can't wait for you to tune in and have fun listening as much as I had fun chatting with her. So she's not only a seamstress, but she is a pattern designer and creator. We have a link in our show notes if you would like to purchase one of her patterns for yourself. And she's a digital creator. She's a master of creating these multiple income sources for herself. So that's super inspirational. And it all started with hobby sewing, like so many of us. So thank you, Monde, so much for spending time with me and sharing your story with our community. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to remind you that we have pre-sales going on for our 2024 Secrets of Bridal Seamstress Retreat, which is happening in Austin, Texas. I'm so excited. You can head to secretsofbridalseamstresspodcast.com for more information, or you can click the link in the show notes to learn more about that. And with the pre-sales comes an opportunity to split your ticket into separate payments. So that's happening May through September. And I'll be so excited when your registration comes through. Okay, for now, let's just dive in and listen to this awesome interview with Monde. Monde, thank you so much for being with us today, and we are here for the stories. So the pressure's on for you to deliver some juicy stories.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great honor.
Oh my goodness, I'm speaking, I think, on just behalf of our community. Like when something pops up from you, I'm like, ooh, what's she going to talk about? So tell us about your sewing journey, because we look at you as this like woman who can tackle anything, make the ugliest dress beautiful, but we all start somewhere. So where did it begin?
Not even. But well, my sewing journey started when I was pretty young. So my mom used to sew, and I call her serial entrepreneur because she used to do so many things, but she used to sew for people, make clothing for people, and she used to knit. So people had like sweaters on and just different pieces. So that's where I picked it up from. Her little scraps, like she would give those to me. And then I had like this toy sewing machine. Like it really was a toy. I'm even shocked that I could make anything from there. So I used to make dresses for my dolls. So that's where I really picked it up from as I grew. I remember a sewing class in, I think it was like elementary. You guys call it elementary. It was like primary school. We call it primary school.
Yeah.
And I learned how to hand sew in that class. And I loved it. Made an apron, all from like hand sewing. So that's where that's where I really picked it up from. Teenage years, I was like, nope, this is not cool. Not sewing anymore. None of the cool kids are sewing.
Yeah.
I was like, and besides, I want like store-bought clothing. I don't want like mommy made clothing.
That's before it was cool to make
right. I was like, nope, no more of this. So I rebelled. I was like, I don't want anything to do with sewing. So yeah, I abandoned that and come into my grown-up phase. Hadn't touched a sewing machine in years. And then I started working. And the work environment was a little stressful. And I started having like anxiety.
Yeah.
And so my husband at the time was like, why don't you do something like that is not related to your work, like something outside of the work that you were doing? And I was like, what am I going to do? And he was like, well, you mentioned sewing. So
an apron. So
and the dolls' dresses.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, maybe I should get back into sewing. So he bought me my first sewing machine, my
Oh.
real sewing machine.
And what
And I
was
started,
that? Because we all nerd out on the sewing machines. So what kind was it?
oh my, I can't even remember. And shocking that he did good, because it was a good sewing machine. It lasted me, I think, about like 5 years.
Wow.
Good 5 years. So I was like, you did good picking up.
Yeah, he did his research.
Yeah, it was a Singer something. I can't remember what it. Wait, no. It was a brother. It was a brother, because that's where I got my loyalty to brother. So got that, and I just started sewing away, and it was great. It was a great stress reliever, but I was sewing for myself. I wasn't sewing for anyone else, and I was like relearning, because I had lost. Well, the knowledge was still there, but I just felt like I needed to polish up my.
The confidence. You lose the confidence so quickly.
Yes. So it came back naturally. So started sewing for myself. And then people were like, oh, that's a cute outfit you have. That's a cute dress you have. Where did you get it? And I'm like, I made it. But don't look too close.
Yeah.
You might see the stitches falling apart.
Right. But all of a sudden it became cool. It was like, oh, this isn't like lame like my mom made. It's like I'm getting like attention for making like that's original. Yeah.
They're asking me. They were like, can you make this for me? I was like, no, I'm not going to make this for you. Because I didn't feel confident that I could make something for someone else. I mean, I had the confidence for myself, but I didn't feel like I was at that spot. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the growth of my sewing. I did take a few courses, like online courses. I think I took like a couture sewing class, couture techniques. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Couture sewing techniques. And then I think I took like a wedding dress. I was part of like a wedding dress membership, wedding dress sewing membership or something like that. Yeah. And of course, YouTube University. I'm constantly on it. The University of YouTube.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
I love how it really did start with like almost like therapy. Like you needed something to help chill you out, and it just started from something that you love to do for yourself.
Yes.
That's so inspiring, because I think that is like the story of so many of us. Like, okay, we were enjoying it for ourselves, and we figure out, oh, I'm kind of good at this, and I'm building my confidence a little bit, and like, could I make money off of this? You know, and it's like we all have like the same progression.
Right.
So when did it like click that you could make money off of this?
So when people started asking, can you make this
like,
for
how much do you want to pay?
So, I mean, I was still a little hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I want to make this for people, because I was just so scared. I was like, watch, as soon as they leave with this garment, it's going to fall apart. And my name is going to be at stake. So it took a while for me to actually start saying yes. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, the same job that I was at, still very stressful, still dealing with anxiety. I came to a point where I had to make a decision whether to stay or leave. Mm-hmm. And my biggest hesitation was, if I leave, we're going down to a one-income household, because my husband was working. And so I was like, I'm going to leave that income. And what am I going to do? And I had a pressing, I'm a person of faith, I'm Christian. So I had a pressing on my heart that I would be okay. I just needed to take a leap of faith and give up that job. And it was in accounting. I went to school for accounting. Mm-hmm. So that's like the most lucrative career out there, accounting.
Yeah.
To give that up to go and sew.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, okay, this is just a step of faith that I had to take. Very, very nerve-wracking, but eventually I gave up that job. And as soon as I gave up that job, I said I was going to start saying yes to people and whatever orders that they wanted. And as soon as I left that job that year, I had like 5 from consultations for the next year. So it was just crazy. It was like God was just saying, give up that job. I already have stuff waiting for you, lined up for you. And so, yeah, it was just amazing. And so, yeah, I just decided, let me start saying yes to people's requests and make money from it.
Yeah, like one dress at a time, right? And then it's like 1 month at a time, and then you kind of just see where it progresses.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah.
I left my teaching career, and it was like kind of along the same lines, because I was like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. But I was able to build up the business a little bit on the side, and then lower my hours teaching until like the business was ready to like take over. But even at that point, like the business was at like 75% by the time I quit, and it was like, okay, just kind of trusting that like more business would come, and it did. But it's like always like, okay, here we go. And I just love hearing like, not like every story is the same, but every business story has so many similarities where it does take that one like moment where you're like, hey, here we go. I'm gonna make it not, and you don't know unless you give
try.
It up,
Yep. That's so true.
5 custom dresses the first year. What?
I know it was crazy. I was like, honestly, I don't even know how I do a lot of stuff that I do. It's divine intervention. That's what I think. It's because I'm like, I did that. How did I do that?
And you slept, and you took care of your family, and you ate, and it's like
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I love, because did you make your shirt that you're wearing? Or your
this is actually a jumpsuit. So this is my sewing pattern, the Lilato jumpsuit. So this is it. Now I'm not going to stand. I
think you posted about it, so I'm going to share that picture. Because I was going to say, I love like your colorful style. I love like your signature style with the clothing that you design. And so I want to learn more about like your pattern making journey, because that is like a completely, I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that. I have a friend, Sarah, who has this great, what's it called when you have a program on your computer?
Adobe, is that Adobe?
Something that she used, designs her own patterns, and that I can't even like comprehend that, because for me, I'm like, okay, I can like alter something for somebody, or I like to obviously follow their patterns, so I can kind of draft my own patterns. But when it comes to like making them for other people to use, that is like a whole another level. So
that's a whole different thing.
Yes. Yeah. So tell me about that.
So it really started out of me trying to figure out other income streams. So yes, I love sewing. I enjoyed sewing for other people, but it's very taxing. It's very taxing on your body. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to be trading hours. Is that the term, hours for dollars?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, I need to find something that can be a little bit more passive and get me money. Get me money. And so I just did a little bit of research and just like looking even at the pattern making industry, like the big, well, I guess now is it the big 4, the big 5 pattern companies, which is one company now. But I'm like, because I was a religious pattern buyer. I have like hundreds. I don't think I'm in the thousands, but I'm in the hundreds.
Wow.
Of patterns that I would buy, whether they were on sale or not on sale. And some of them I wouldn't use. And I would be there counting how much money I have just sitting there. And I'm like, I don't know. And then some of the patterns, I mean, they have their own issues. But I'm like, but what if I made something that I enjoy, that's stylish, enjoy to
Yeah.
wear, enjoy to make, and then just like sell that? And I researched like indie pattern companies, saw what they were doing. And now the secret that I'll tell you is, I mean, I have the vision for what I want a piece to look like, but
Mhm.
I don't have any skill in like drawing out the pattern, creating the pattern. I don't have
What?
any of that.
So there's hope for me.
None of that. So guess what I did? Contract the work out. There's
Okay.
someone out there who can do that, and you just give them. It's amazing. It's amazing the skills that are out there. So
Mhm.
just leverage other people's skills. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can pay you to do it. So hello, come in Fiverr.
Mhm. Yeah.
Fiverr, Upwork, there's pattern designers there. So I contracted someone on Fiverr. I told them I had actually made this jumpsuit before for myself. And so I just gave them, I showed them the picture, I gave them the measurements, dimensions, and I asked them, is this something that you can do? And they were like, yeah, we can do that. And they gave me a time frame, they gave me the budget. And yeah, once that was done, I tested it out a little bit. I had a few pattern testers, and yeah, that's how the pattern
Oh, you
came.
made it sound like so easy.
It, honestly, well, it is easy. I feel like it is. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's like our secret, because I don't want like the whole world now.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it does. It takes a lot of dedication to I mean, I think you have to come to that place where you're like, this could work and people may want to buy this design that I have. And it must take so much time to do that, like investigating and contracting, but also knowing that you can spend time on your creative side, which like what you're saying at the beginning of our conversation, like that is what you wanted to spend more time in that zone. And then, okay, find somebody else whose zone is to draw out the patterns,
Yes.
yeah, as opposed to like trying to find the right program yourself and educate. Because I hear that that can take years to master pattern making. Like,
I tried
even if
it.
you find, yeah,
I tried it. The designs, oh Lord, I was on Adobe trying to figure out how to do this. I had watched countless videos, because there's videos of how to create like
yeah,
PDF patterns. I was like, this is not for me. I
yeah,
am wasting time and money trying to figure this out. So
yes.
this time and money, let me invest it in someone who can do it, and then
Yeah. And that's it.
go
Like
from
I
there.
think people don't realize sometimes when you're trying to force the DIY so much, that is like precious time and money that's going into
Yes,
it. So
yes,
yeah. So
yes.
shout out to Sarah Colas is the genius pattern maker and she does all
Yay.
the things and she can keep those gifts. And then and the rest of us can know when to hire out.
I know, right?
Yeah, and know when to give it up. That's such a great reminder of like, you don't need to know how to do it all to be successful.
Exactly.
Like you
So
don't
true.
need to be the master of everything to have a successful brand. So,
Yep, yep,
and like
yep.
we think that you're making the patterns. So
No, well, no, that's our
yeah,
little
after this.
secret. That's
Okay.
our little
So
secret.
exactly. So we'll have a link in the show notes too of where to find your patterns and if people aren't already following on Instagram, so they can shop that way.
Yay.
But I'd like to transition into probably one of my favorite facets of your brand slash personality, and that would be your before and afters. So before we hit record, we talked about how you're just emerging out of prom season and you provided so much entertainment for us with that season. And now you're heading into bridal. But when did you realize that you're such a good storyteller and that like the world had to hear your stories of these crazy dresses that you're getting?
Listen, firstly, I don't think I'm a good storyteller. I'm just good at transferring the story from one person
Oh
to
my
the
goodness.
world.
And how are you getting like, I don't know why you're a magnet now for all of like the
I think
pictures
it's
that you're
the,
oh my goodness. Do people travel to Memphis to work with you, or are they coming from all over the country, or is it just like Memphis only? Because that's a lot of emergencies in one town.
Oh, man. I serve, and I try to tell everyone who reaches out, I serve the local Memphis area.
Mhm.
So if you want to come from California to come to Memphis for alterations, great. But I also kind of stipulate that you have to be available for at least 2 or 3 fittings, especially if you have like a serious problem piece.
Yeah.
2 or 3 fittings. So that usually like weeds out a lot of people because and I kind of discourage them. I'm like, is it going to be worth it? Because fine, you might be paying for the alterations, but you have to factor in your travel,
Yeah.
your accommodation if you're going to stay here for more than a day or so.
Mhm.
That is all adding to the cost of your piece. So if alterations are going to cost $300-400, add $500 for a plane
At
ticket.
least. Yeah.
So the whole alteration might, I don't know, cost you, I don't know, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out a number, 1,500.
Yeah.
For a piece that you got for, I don't know, 200. So yeah, I really try to filter out clients and tell them that I only work with people in the local Memphis area. If you can get here and be available for 3 fittings, then great. But the storytelling, like how did I don't know. Not that, yeah, I still don't consider myself a great storyteller. It's just people have very, no, people have very interesting stories. I believe we all have stories, even just everyday happening. That's a story. We're walking storyboards. So, it really clicked. So during the pandemic, I took like self-development courses and just so I could, I don't know, better my business, just be serious about my business, Monde's Threads. And a few people that I had followed, I'd taken a course with Amy Porterfield. I don't know if you know her.
Oh yeah, I've taken courses with her.
Oh, you did? What did you
take? Yes, I've done the list builders and I did course creators, or what is it? The course academy.
Digital course again.
Yes, yes. And I love her podcast. So a fellow fan.
Thing. Yeah. So yes,
We're probably in the same like support Facebook group.
You know what?
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I did that. I did Amy, and Amy is pretty much connected to Stu McLaren. He's the membership guru. And so Stu is big on storytelling. And that really resonated with me. And I was like, so how can I connect my business and storytelling? And it was a little tough because I couldn't really find like relatable examples. I don't know. I just feel like sewing and just alterations and I don't know, it's just a whole different ball game. So there wasn't a lot of examples for me to see. So I was like, okay, let me just document my process. Let me document, just keep the stories for myself, really.
Yeah.
And then eventually, what happened? Eventually TikTok came. And what I loved about TikTok was just people being authentic, people being raw. Instagram, that's where it's like all the fakeness was, all the polished pictures, all everything. Yeah, it was just fake. Now it's better. So I was like, okay. So I was seeing all these stories. People would be story time on TikTok, just raw details. And I was like, let me just post a bit of my work. So the first dress that I actually posted was a bridesmaid, and she, it was just after the pandemic. And so, everyone had this pandemic weight.
I know where this is going.
She had her dress, and tried it during the pandemic, comes out of the pandemic, and it won't zip up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like several, I think maybe 3 sizes too small.
Oh, okay.
It was, yes, it was a disaster. And so I was like,
Bridesmaids dresses are so hard because it's like they're expensive enough to really be a pain when they don't fit. Like I think the bridesmaids get so frustrated when they don't fit and they're like, I just spent $200 on this dress.
right.
And they don't want to necessarily spend even more on
I know.
alterations. It's like that. Yeah. It's that awful like in between. Whereas like a bridal gown, okay, you've already spent $2,000 on this dress. So you're going to
Yes.
spend something to like make it fit. But
Yes, you have the budget. The budget is there. So
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely different with bridesmaids dresses. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, she came to me and yeah, I removed the zipper and added the lace back corset ties. Worked perfectly. And actually, I did record the whole process. I don't even know why, but I have a habit of recording pretty much my process. I don't know where I'm going to post it or share it, but I always record my process. So I did that. And then I took some before and after pictures. Then I posted that on TikTok and it blew up. It went viral. And so I was like, I'm to something here.
Yeah.
People loved it. So I posted that a few times and then I posted it on Instagram. I actually have a business account for Instagram, not the one that everyone knows now, MondesThreads, but a different one for my alterations and custom. And it blew up there.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now I didn't have the green screen where I was narrating the stories.
Yeah.
It was just, I would show like the before and after, or a client came to me with this. And so it was just like text and then music in the background. So those did really well. And actually my largest following is on Facebook. That's where that's where a lot of people follow me.
You're everywhere. Yeah.
People don't know. Yeah, people don't know this on Instagram, but my largest following is on Facebook. And so it blew up there. And I was like, okay, from that video, another person, now this is where the bride, I don't know if you've seen that. This probably lost at the bottom of my stuff. But this is where I had the bride who had a custom made dress in West Africa. Beautiful dress, very well made, but it was about 2-3 sizes too small.
Oh, no.
Came in 10 days before her wedding. 10 days before her wedding.
Oh my goodness.
And as in, she couldn't even just imagine, like, it was mermaid style, humongous train, ruffles, beading all over the bodice. Part of it was zipper up to the waist, and then part of it was like corset style in the back. She couldn't even pull it on. It was that small.
Oh my goodness. Ooh.
And she saw the other video and she was like, could you help me? And I was like, did you ask around first? Because
yeah.
I don't know if I can help you. And she was like, I've asked around so many bridal seamstresses, shops, and everyone is like, no. And my heart broke for her because I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Because there has to be kind of that hesitation of like, what if I say yes and I can't help her? And what if I should just tell her to like buy a new dress? You know what I mean?
That is always the case. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but come in and let's see what's going on. And I'll take a look at it. And if it's something I can do, I will do it. If it's not, then be prepared to leave. And so she came in. Yeah, same thing. She couldn't pull firstly, the dress was heavy. It was like, I don't know, I could be exaggerating, but maybe 30, 40 pounds. It was heavy. It was so heavy.
Yeah.
And so there we were, like trying to get her in. So, I mean, I looked at the dress. I was like, okay, where are the seams? Because it had beading everywhere. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna take this apart. Where am I taking it apart? Unfortunately, in the back of the dress where the zipper was, there was an opening where you could open up the dress.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if worst comes to the worst, I can put this back. I can put the seam back.
Yeah.
But I was like, let's open it up to see if it can actually go up and if the front part can fit.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. I seam ripped the back open. She came in. Actually, she left that day because it was a lot.
Yeah.
There was tears. And I was like, I need a timeout.
Yeah.
So she left. I got that done. Then she came in again for a fitting. I would call it a fitting to see if the dress could go up. So she managed to slip the dress on. I think it had straps. She put the dress on. There was tears. Yay, the dress could go on.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So you just open up like every seam then?
No, just the one in the back. So
really? Wow.
Okay. Yeah, from the waist to, I think it was just above the knee, in the back. That was the only one I could open because everything else was beaded closed.
Wow.
So it was crazy. So I opened it up. They had, there was some seam allowance, maybe about 1.5 inches. But I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this because we have the rest of the dress. Like, what's going to happen? So I was like, the only suggestion that I have is for you to do the corset lace back ties all the way down. All the way down. You know what? At the end of the day, it to me, it didn't look, no, it looked a hot mess. It really did. But I've noticed that at the end of the day, as long as they can either walk down the aisle or fit the dress, they don't care what's going on or how they can fit.
Right. And really it is like, okay, if they're happy with it, if they're happy with how it looks, yeah. And it's almost like you kind of don't want to say that out loud because then there's always people who are going to like judge that. But when you're working with, you have to be client focused with our work, you know what I mean? And so sometimes when we get so like hyper focused on us and like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
then it becomes about us instead of, and that probably goes also to like, the same thing can be said of clients who have a certain budget and we have to change the fixed dresses based on their budget. So I totally get it where you're like, ooh, but she was happy.
Yeah.
So
but she was like, do whatever. And also the fabric that I had, it was so last minute. Like the fabric that I had, the satin, the bridal satin, her dress, I think was like an off-white. The fabric that I had was like, I think it was like a diamond. That's what it was, diamond white. So it was like white. So you're definitely going to see the contrast. Yeah. So when I tried to dye it, it wouldn't take. The dye wouldn't take for some reason. So I was like, you know what? This is this is all I can do. And she was like, 10 days. That. Yeah. She was like, just do that as long as I can just get into the dress. I walk down the aisle, and she was going to change the dress. She was going to change her dress. So, anyways, long story short, got that done. She came in for her final fitting. I think it was like Thursday. Her wedding was on Saturday. Thursday, she came in for the fitting. Managed to lace it up. Tears again.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And I was like, okay, we have the dress done.
Bye.
And she sent pictures of the dress on the wedding day, and I was like, "Wow, this was a hot mess." But I'm so glad I helped her.
Yes, helped her. And I'm sure there's this story behind the ordering of the dress, and the process of ordering her custom dress from West Africa, like that's probably why she was willing to do whatever it took to like just wear that down the aisle. So how special that she could still wear it, Yeah.
Yeah. It was, oh my gosh, it was like story on story. So when I posted that, of course, that blew up as well. It went viral. And the wedding dress designer saw the reel. and actually messaged me and was like, well, thank you for helping her out. And I was like, what happened? Like, what,
Yeah.
what happened with the sizing and whatever? And I don't know. She didn't really say, but I'm thinking they probably converted the wrong measurements, or either they took measurements that were in inches and thought they were in, I think they use meters and stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I think that was the biggest thing. But I was like, yeah, I think you need to refund her for the alterations cost. Because the dress was custom made. It was supposed to fit. So, so she was like, yeah, I felt so bad. It's never happened. And I think she was her first overseas client.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, I felt so bad. I actually refunded her all the money. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, but what an awful feeling for them. You know what I
I
mean?
know. And it wasn't that the dress was bad or anything. The dress was gorgeous.
Yeah. And like you said, it was well made. It was just
It
something.
was well made, because I also struggled with like seam ripping. I had a hard time like trying to take the stitches out. So it was well made. It was just the sizing was really, really off. So she was like, yeah, I refunded her all her money. And now I know not to take overseas clients unless they can come for a fitting. I was like, well, win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And like we said earlier, things that you have to learn along the way.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. So that's where all the storytelling.
Wow, it's amazing. I'm so inspired now to just record, have like this back roll going at my work, because it's like, even now I still forget, like, oh yeah, I should be taking pictures when they first come in, or I should be, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, okay. I have so many photos of like, from the wedding or once it's done, but like as I'm working or when they first come in, I just am like talking so much that I'm like, I need to pause. So do you ever still have like projects that you've started and you're like, okay, I shouldn't be doing this, or like maybe I can't, you know what I mean? Do you still ever even have those moments? Because
no, you know what? Not as often. Not as often, because I do have a pretty good vetting process.
Okay.
So before,
tell us about that.
It's not me about that. It's not major or anything, but a lot of my business, a lot of my work is referral. So someone has to refer you to me. And once we get in communication, either through text, email, or a lot of people on social media, I'll ask them who referred you to me. So that I know if anything goes wrong, I can say, hey, you client.
Well, that's for to blame.
You're right. But on top of that, I always ask them, what is it that you need? And send me pictures. Not just pictures of the outfit, because some people would just send me either like a screenshot from the website or a dress hanging. And I'm like, I can't tell anything, but I want to see you in the outfit to know if it's something that I can do.
Right. So I do the same thing. Yeah. It's like, give me pictures, please.
Yeah. If it's something I can't do, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, this is something that I can't do. But if it's something that I really need to look at and see, again, I'll have them come in and I'll tell them I'm just taking a look. If it's something I can't do, then you have to find someone else. But if it's something that I can do, then I'll
do. You have like red flags?
Oh, I think because of the way I like vet people, I don't usually get like people with, I don't know.
Or any signals that you're like, okay, whoa, do not want to work with you, or
yeah. So I've had a few, and I'm like, how did you slip through? Like, but it's very few. But there was 3 that I remember, and one of them was like constantly contacting me after hours. So there's just, not that I do have my business hours on my calendar, but I don't know. I think it's just known that between maybe 6, 7, I'll say 7 if you're pushing it 8, or 9 in the morning. Don't be, I mean, before 9, don't be
Yes.
contacting people. Like,
No, no. Same. Yeah.
so I had a client. Firstly, someone referred her to me. So I'm like, okay, you were vetted. But I was like slightly vetted, but she contacted me. This was like past 9 p.m. And I understand it was an emergency. She needed like 24-hour turnaround.
Wow.
So she contacted me. I think it was like 9 and then 10. And I don't know if I responded. Maybe I did. Oh, I had asked her to send me pictures because she was like, I need this done by tomorrow evening, and blah, blah, blah. And this person sent me your number. She said you could do it. And so that was number one, just constantly contacting. And then this is a pet peeve that I have. It's an easy fix. It's an easy fix, or I know you can do it. Like, don't be buttering me up. I know I can do it, but don't be telling me.
So easy. You can do
Don't
it.
be telling me it's so easy. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
I know I can do it.
Yeah. I know. It's that, or it's like, oh, it's just a hem, or it's just taking a little bit in the sides. That phrase too is always like, ooh.
So yeah, I should have known. I know better now, but yeah, I should have. She was like, yeah, it's just an easy fix. It's taking in. I just need it taken in a little. And so she comes in. I take a look. It wasn't just taken in. It was almost like a reconstruction of the top part.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I got it done. And I gave her kind of like an amount. Because sometimes I won't give like a total cost or a price. I'll give her a ballpark.
Right.
So that you know like how much you're going to pay. So gave her the ballpark. She was on my, is it ready? Is the dress ready? Is the dress ready? How far have you gone with the dress? And I was like, So she came in. I was like, I'm done. Come in. So she comes in. She tries on the dress. It fits. There was a few other, like it was going to work. Mm-hmm. But then she was getting nitpicky. No, maybe you should take it in here like a little bit. Maybe take it in here. I was like, girl, no, I don't have time. This is it's a functional, functional piece.
Remember the time frame that you gave me.
Exactly. It's functional. You can walk out here and still look good.
Yeah.
And then I gave her the final quote and she was like, oh my gosh, that is more than I paid for the dress. And I stood there, I was like, I gave you a range of what it would cost. Yeah. And on top of that, this is like a super rush.
Yes.
Super rush. This is 24-hour turnover. It's not for like a simple hem no, this was a reconstruction. So which means I was up all night working.
Yes.
So, and then I was like, I don't care what I didn't say it, but I was like, I don't care what you paid for the dress.
No, it's not relevant. I mean, I think people think it is, but it really doesn't matter.
It almost got combative. Wow. She was like, I don't know if I want to pay that. Like, you should have told me that would be the amount. I was like, you know what? And I'm not combative. I'm not confrontational.
Yeah.
It's just not my energy.
I know I'm getting sweaty, like thinking about this interaction. Like,
that is not me, but I was firm. I was like, okay, that's fine. What I can do is you can sit here and wait. And what I'll do is undo everything that I've done. And you can take your dress. You don't even need to pay anything. And we can call it a day. And she was like, no, that's not what I meant. I just don't understand why I have to pay all this money for. I was like.
So she thought the ballpark was just like putting out random numbers to get numbers out there. Like,
Right.
I
Right.
think, yeah, sometimes people, yeah.
And I did kind of explain that to her. I was like, how would you feel if you were asked to work extra hours, let's say at your job? So I don't know, just
Yeah.
I don't know, to make it relatable, someone calls in sick. Let's say it's an hourly job. Someone calls in sick. Oh, we need you to stay a few extra hours. Yeah. And we're just going to pay you this amount of money. Like not even covering the base.
Yeah.
So like people get paid time and a half or more. I don't know what the going rate is now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and so you want me to work for free over a 24-hour period? I'm like, that's not fair. And just going forward, I don't know who you're going to work with in the future. But yeah, think about that. Think about the time that they're putting into solving or solving your problem.
Right.
So yeah,
it sounds like from the jump, if she was constantly like, and that's what always, whenever I'm in these situations and I look back to the initial contact or the way that they interact via email or how many emails they send, if they don't have boundaries with either how often they're messaging me or how they speak to me, it's like that's gonna also come out in person in
that's
videos.
the biggest red flag.
Yes, yeah.
I love how you put it, respecting your boundaries, like even just as a business, like business hours.
Right.
Yeah. So eventually she paid and she was not leaving my place until she paid. So I was like, either you pay and I'll give you your address, or you sit here probably for an hour and I take out everything that I've done and then you can leave after I've undone everything. And yeah, she eventually paid and she left. And I went back to this person who had vetted her and I was like, this person.
Right. Oh, that's right. There was somebody else.
Yeah. I was like, this person that you sent me, and she was like, "Oh, she doesn't strike me as that type of." I was like, "No, never again."
I remember this was my first year. It was right after I left teaching, so I was like, "Okay, I'm doing this full time," and I had a bride who was super difficult, and I think she bought her dress on eBay, and then it was used and stretched and whatever. But she came to me because I was altering her best friend's dress. And I knew her best friend from other things. And so I mentioned like, oh yeah, so-and-so's coming to pick up her dress and it's been a little stressful. But the friend in common was like, oh yeah, she's pretty stressful just in general, like everything.
Well, now you think.
Like, why did you do this to me? But again, and that's when I was so excited to grow the business that I was going to take anything and anybody. And I was like, and I remember even in our, I had like my way to kind of vet brides through email and through like photos and my investment guide and all this stuff. And then she called me and she wanted, and even in the phone call, I could hear that in her voice, but I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Things we tell ourselves. And it's like, it's not worth it. So as the bridal season, well, I think most of us are kind of like pre-booked, but still, I always save room for like last minute brides because where else are they going to go? And like, how do you have a couple tips for like how to give a firm no? Because I think a lot of women still struggle with that, like no, and then they're going weeks without a day off or without sleeping. And so how do you say no?
No, just be generous with your no's.
Yes.
And don't feel bad. Really, don't feel bad. I can't remember what the saying is. Your lack of planning doesn't constitute an emergency on my part. I know it's harsh, but it's true. If you want to keep your sanity,
right.
If you want to be rested,
and enjoy it, like actually enjoy the job. Like I love going to work and then I love coming home and I love coming home.
Exactly. You are going to be stressed if you don't set up those boundaries, if you don't say no. So, and I would say, well, I don't know if people do this, but just write down like the things that you're not going to accept. And if people fall in that area, then it's a hard no. If there's things that you're like, oh, okay, like you said, you have some, I don't know, maybe days for maybe emergencies, then stick with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just no.
I have a buffer for 5 emergency brides a month.
There you go. That's
Honestly,
great.
The rush fees are kind of nice as long as I plan ahead. As long as I plan ahead and I know they're coming. And, it took years to figure out like, oh, there's always going to be people who contact me last minute. So like, I'm going to buffer in my time so that I can help them and then, get that whatever 4-week rush fee or whatever, knowing too that everybody else is going to be booked. So if you can plan ahead that way.
Exactly. But yeah.
Okay. So what do you see for the future of Monday's Threads? Like you're doing alterations. You've been like a pattern maker. You're a celebrity on all this.
No. All right.
So what's next?
What next? I would love to, I don't know, come out with a few more patterns. I don't know, maybe some easy, like bridal, simple, maybe like elopement dresses.
Ooh, that'd be really fun.
Like that.
Yes,
just designs that I see a lot of like brides struggling with. I do get a lot of like plus size clients, and it's almost like they have the same issue.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if I could come up with something that kind of incorporates or solves that problem of the issue that they have. So yeah, definitely some more patterns in the future. I work from home, so maybe I know it's not now. I still have to like calculate stuff and just plan, but I would love to have like a storefront.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And even if I could like work in there, sew in there, I do have a sewing space, but yeah, if I could just like go in store, meet clients from there, sew from there. So that, I don't know, I don't want to say in the near future, but in the future, I would love.
Yes. Yeah. What about, would you ever be up for like educating seamstresses on these fixes?
Now, I don't know if it's seamstresses because I feel I'm kind of like, so I know stuff. I know a lot more than just like the normal or the basic seamstress, but then I'm not like an expert or.
You know what? I hear you. And you're like, I don't want to tread those waters.
Yeah. But I know when some seamstresses look at my work and like, yeah, you could have done better. I know there's this, but then the people who don't know any better or anything, they're like, oh my gosh, you saved the day.
Yes. Or those of us who appreciate what it took emotionally to get that done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so funny that you say that because I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I am actually in the works of trying to produce a course, 2 courses, one for like simple or basic alterations, because some of the stuff that people bring to me, you could have done that yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you only knew how to sew, you could have done it yourself. Mm-hmm. So basic alterations that people can do. So I'd love to do that. And then just, I get a lot of comments where people are scared to do alterations. I'm like, why are you scared? If you can make an outfit, if you can sew a whole dress, yeah, you could do simple alterations. Now with the bridal, like some of the bridesmaids dresses, yes, there's certain knowledge that they need to know. But I feel like you could, if you know how to sew, you can get by with doing simple basic alterations. So I want to create, I'm kind of in the process of creating a course for those people. So I'm just, I'm just trying to get it together.
Yeah, it is a huge process. Like I totally understand. But I love how you're kind of like all over. So you're like serving brides and, prom or formal wear, and then you're serving sewists with your patterns and then sewists with these courses. I love that your audience can be that broad.
Yes, I'm trying to really diversify. Like I said in the beginning, it's really diversify my income. So
Yeah.
I want to still enjoy doing alterations because I look at it as more of a passion,
Mhm.
passion project for me. So, and I know I should charge more, way more than
Yeah.
than I
Yeah.
do, but it's really fulfilling for me seeing people walk out of here and I have helped them and I have
Yeah.
and if there's that question, if money wasn't an issue, what would you do for free? I would do alterations. Like you would come to
Yeah.
me, I'm going to do the alterations for free. But yeah, so all these other things is really me diversifying
Yeah,
my
that's so
income
smart.
stream so I can actually do what I love. So
Yes, and still enjoy it, that it's not
yeah,
gonna,
and
like,
still
take the
enjoy
joy out
it.
of it. Yes, yeah, that's so smart. It's just very inspiring. So we'll be looking for what's next. Thank you. What's
Yes.
coming down the pike. And, I mean, I feel like you've already given us, like, so many good tips and stories. And, obviously, the podcast is for bridal seamstresses who are probably
Yeah.
at this moment, like, hunched over the sewing machine with some dresses. So do you have, like, a final piece of advice to encourage or, yeah, advise seamstresses to maybe avoid the crazy situations or to know when they're worth it?
Oh, well, be like I said before, be generous with your nose.
Yes.
Be generous with your nose, even just for your own like peace of mind. If it's something that you can't do, if you know it's in your heart that you can't, just don't do it.
I
Just
think that's a
don't.
huge
Because
piece.
on top of that, I mean, I've seen most work, like if this is like what you do, your profession, it's great. The work is great. But then there's, I don't know, you get those that come to you and they're like, oh, this seamstress botched botched my dress or botched this. So I'm like, they should have just said no. It's okay to say no.
Okay. Yeah. And
It's
it's fine.
okay.
I know there are some things that I don't enjoy. It stresses me out. Or if I
Yeah,
have to think too hard, I'm like, I could make money easier if I was doing a different project and it doesn't make me less
exactly.
of a businesswoman or of a seamstress. Like I
Yeah.
just know, like knowing your boundaries is
Mhm.
something that you don't need to be ashamed of. It's just
Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
like you can, if you want to learn to perfect a skill, you can do that if you want to on your slow season. But if you don't want to, you don't need to do it. I don't know. Just pass it
Yeah,
along.
exactly. Exactly. And I guess the final thing is tell the stories.
Yeah.
Tell the stories. Like I'm always looking for, well, actually one of the most asked question that I get is, do you know anyone in my area who does what you do? And
Hmm.
I'm like, I know a few people, but I'm like, where is everyone? Where is everyone hiding? And people
Right.
won't know about you until you come out there and tell the stories. Because I know I'm not the only one who does this or who
Right.
experiences this.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
tell the stories, document your process.
Document. Yes.
People relate to stories.
Mhm.
I mean, that's how you found me. It's like so
Yes.
relatable, right?
Yes.
Stuff
Exactly.
that we all go through. And so, yeah, definitely share. Just share what you have. Document, share, and don't be afraid to be raw.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
scary, but yes. And make
No,
sure you're,
don't be scared. Why? Why is it
yeah. Okay, so for those listeners who are not already following you, your Monday's threads. So pretty simple on the IG. And then where can we find your patterns?
Okay, so I'm on Etsy. I have my patterns on Etsy under Monday's Threads. If you type in Monday's Threads as well, it
Mhm.
should pop up. Yeah, so
Okay.
you can find me on Etsy. And I also have a link to going everywhere
Yeah.
on my
Good.
Instagram. So if you get lost on Etsy, you can
That's
just
perfect.
yeah, go to my Instagram, Mondays_threads, and you'll provide that information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can just go through the link tree and it has like everything there.
Got it. We'll be sharing that. Thank you so much for your time. This was so fun and very inspiring. And it's a great challenge to, just be more authentic and put it out there. And I think because there's not so much a fear of clients, but probably a fear of other professionals who are looking at like, you know what I mean? I think that could be a limiting factor for a lot of people. So I love that you're like, share it and it could, look what it's done for you,
And I'm going to tell you a secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but I know we're winding up and I'm like,
more secrets. We love these. Yes.
Yes. Firstly, your client is the most important person. So always do it with consent. Even when I take pictures, I will tell them you're probably going to feature on my social media.
Exactly. That's part of the contract, actually. Like,
yes.
We take photos. Yes.
Yes. So you might feature in social media and all of that. Mm-hmm. But actually, a lot of how I make money is from social media. So those reels or those posts or those stories that I tell, I'm actually getting paid for that. Mm-hmm. So that's another way you can make money off of your sewing or off of what you do. So share your work, and the more it's shared, the more viral it is. The more money.
Exactly. The queen of multiple income streams over here.
Exactly.
Post it.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to share. You could be paid for posting your work.
Yeah. That was definitely worth the final tip. So okay, we'll have to get you back on. We'll think of a different subject because this is really fun. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And this was a pleasure chatting with you. And
can't wait to get this out. Thank you.